Well, actually, there is 2 items in TBC that are really similar, and this is also why being a caster is easy mode in TBC, by all measure. Let me pull them up. The 2 best freaking trinkets in the game for TBC are Quagmirran's Eye and Dragonspine Trophy. Yes, there are some items that are better later on, but for the most part, Quagmirran's Eye, Dragonspine Trophy, DST, they are the most coveted items in the game. Now, it is kinda funny that one of them is a crappy blue item from Slave Pens, but Dragonspine Trophy DST from Gruul, it is pretty much best in slot the entire expansion, and they do the same thing, which is why I put them in this bag. 325 haste for 10 seconds in the case of DST, and 6 seconds in the case of Quagmirran's Eye. Now, Quagmirran's Eye has a longer cooldown, so it is actually like worse, and it makes sense, right? Like DST is a raid item, Quag's Eye is a dungeon item, but they both stay best in slot for a long time, way more than they should have, and that's because the people that made TBC items messed up. Quag's Eye has decent spell power, so that's also playing a role in this. DST is all about the effect, but okay, so DST gives you a chance to get 325 haste for 10 seconds with a 20-second cooldown. The chance is weird, it's a proc per minute base. 1 proc per minute doesn't mean you are literally guaranteed to get 1 proc per minute, but it means that the chance scales with your weapon speed or your bow speed, whatever. It's kinda complicated, but the faster your weapon, the lower the chance, the slower your weapon, the higher the chance, and it averages out at like 1 proc per minute if you're only auto-attacking. That's all you gotta know, right? 1 proc per minute on a 20-second cooldown is gonna add up to more or less 20% uptime. Now, how much is 325 haste? Because it doesn't sound like a lot, right? Especially if you come from like MOP or something. Actually, it is 15 point something points of haste per percent, and 325 is pretty much exactly 20% haste. That means that if you are a hunter and you're shooting, you are gonna shoot 20% faster, your GCD is gonna be 20% faster than the entire thing. Same with Quagmirran's Eye, also 20% haste. Quag's Eye is actually a chance per cast, and that's very important because some classes that use a lot of instant spells, like Shadow Priest of course, or Warlock, they have to refresh dots, they are gonna get more uptime, while something like an Elemental Shaman cannot take advantage of this as much. But in the case of DST, a hunter, which is the main benefactor, of course melee is also wanted, it is an uptime of about 20%. 20% uptime on 20% haste is absolutely bonkers. More haste means more procs, in the case of a warrior it means more rage generation, so 20% haste is actually a little more than 20% more damage for the most part, but let's assume it is that, okay? So 20% haste times a 20% uptime, that is 4% damage. It doesn't sound like a lot, I know, but actually it is gigantic for a single item. Think about it this way, okay? Going from Blackwing Lair best in slot to AQ40 best in slot is a 6.5% damage increase. That's not my numbers, that's Dwarf Lord's numbers, okay? They did the math twice. This single effect, not the item, the effect, the 40 attack power, do not even count in this, is 4% more damage. And that 4% is regardless of how many stats you have. Actually, haste gets better the more stats you have, because you get more value for your stats the faster you use them. And that's what makes Dragonspine Trophy so important, because it makes the item good and a 4% increase no matter your gear level, unless you have a lot of haste, and like that's not really a thing until Sunwell, and even then a lot of people take Dragonspine Trophy. I am not an expert in Hunter, okay? I am not your guy for TBC Hunters, I will be the first one to say, but numbers are numbers, and these numbers are way out of whack. In the case of Quag's Eye, it is actually lower because it has a 45 second cooldown, sorry. You can proc them pretty fast, once again, because every GCD you can do a spell. In the case of a Shadow Priest, for example, every tick of Mind Flay can proc it, but the cooldown is pretty bad, so like that's a shame. Also the duration is 6 seconds instead of 10. overall uptime in Quagmirran Sai is somewhere between 9% and 11-12% depending on your class, although in a short fight it will actually get a lot of value. 37 spell power is actually pretty decent, so as a pre-raid vesting slot item, it is like decent stats and the most broken proc in the game at the same time. It also helps that the Eye of Magteridon is not even that good, that's the tier 4 trinket, so depending on your class, Quagmirran Sai is gonna probably be best in slot all the way until Sulaman. If not best in slot, at least a really good option, and like you need 2 trinkets, right? So like a lot of people are gonna have this thing for a long time. Let's compare the stats actually, okay? 37 spell power and the proc, which we established. Actually, let's establish that. We got 20% times 11% uptime. That is 2.2% DPS, of course. 2.2% is not as much as DST, but it is still a really big number. Now, if you compare it with the Hex Shrunken Head, you go from 37 spell power to 53. That is 16 more spell power, going from the literal start of TBC in a crappy dungeon all the way to like the latest phase of TBC. Well, not before Sunwell, but you know what I mean, like phase 4 TBC, like it says here. And you also get 211 spell power for 20 seconds every 2 minutes, which is an average of another 35 spell power, so that's 52 more spell power in total. So you got a flat 2.2% damage compared to 52 spell power in average. It is actually pretty close. Of course, this actually gives you way more value because you pop it along your cooldowns, while this is just a proc and you cannot reliably pop it when you pop your cooldowns. So Hex Shrunken Head is actually better. I'm not trying to say it is not, it is better, but not by a lot. And I cannot stress this enough how impressive it is that a dungeon item is almost as good as the Sulaman trinket. I kinda think DST was actually intended to be really good till the end of the expansion, but like somebody messed up the math on Quagmirran Sai. What's gonna happen in TBC is that guilds are gonna be broken up, drama is gonna happen constantly over DST. DST is basically the onslaught Girdle of TBC, rogues, warriors, and of course hunters, the biggest one. They all want this item because it is best in slot pretty much forever. Let's look for a comparison to the Warglaives of Asinot. If we take a look at the Warglaives of Asinot, they are 450 haste. That's the best 2 weapons in the game, of course, and they have the same set bonus of 10 seconds for 45 seconds, 450 haste. Black Temple endgame weapon, 28% haste. So there you go. Same cooldown pretty much as Quagmirran Sai 2, of course Quagmirran Sai less duration, but still, somebody messed up. It is wonky, it is crazy. And it also makes it so if you wanna get loot in TBC, if you wanna get a caster started, it is extremely easy. The best item in the game is already here. Of course, you combine this with the tailoring set, which is not the best, but it is like really damn good. You have the Frostweave one, like the Shadow Frost set, and the Arcane Fire set, whichever you need for your class. You can have a very competent, very good damage character, namely a Warlock, almost as soon as you roll 70 if you got some gold. And that's the reason that everybody has a caster alt, even hunters, even melees, because it is so accessible. This is also a big reason why Shadow Priest is a lot better than it should be, because Mindflake can proc this thing so easily. If it wasn't for Quagmirran Sai, Shadow Priest would be a lot worse, and that's also why they fall off later on as more trinkets get introduced. And we're gonna have to brace for Dragonspine Trophy drama. I love TBC items, they are goofy, yeah sure, they are goofy, I know people will say they are goofy, but isn't that neat? Tell me an item you're wearing in MOP. Can you name a single item you are wearing in MOP right now or in retail? There is so many weird goofy items in TBC. Many of them are trinkets actually. We're gonna be talking about those a long time. We got a lot of material here. I think TBC is a lot more inventive than even vanilla. Like this is the last time that Blizzard wasn't afraid of doing cool stuff. Anyway, I am leveling my mage. We're doing an era arc, okay? We're playing era until TBC gets announced. We're chilling here, gonna do some GDK IPs with the chat. White Mane Alliance. If you're down, if you got a character, join the Discord, check out the Discord, and subscribe, join the Discord, and thank you for watching.